Hello dear students, in this video I am going to discuss about routing and wavelength assignment, RWA, routing and wavelength assignment. In wavelength division multiplexing networks, a light path is established by reserving a particular wavelength on the physical links between the source and destination edge nodes. Since light paths are the basic building block of this network architecture, their effective establishment is crucial. It is thus important to provide routes to the light path requests and to assign wavelengths on each of the links along this route among the possible choices so as to optimize a certain performance metric. This is known as routing and wavelength assignment problem, that is RWA problem. The implementation of RWA can be static or dynamic depending upon the traffic patterns in the network. Static or dynamic. The static RWA technique are employed to provide a set of semi-permanent connections which remains active for a relatively longer time. The traffic patterns in this case are reasonably well known in advance, and the variation in traffic pattern is not frequent. Therefore, it is useful to optimize the way in which network resources will be assigned to each connection. The static RWA problem is often referred to as the virtual topology design problem. The dynamic RWA deals with establishing the light path in frequently varying traffic patterns. In this case, the traffic patterns are not known and therefore the connection requests are initiated in a random fashion depending on the network state at the time of a request. The resources may be sufficient to establish a light path between the corresponding source and destination edge node pair. The network state provides information about the physical path and wavelength assignment for all active light paths. The state evolves randomly in time as new light paths are admitted and existing light paths are released. Thus, each time a request is made, an algorithm must be executed in real time to determine whether it is feasible to accommodate the request, and if so, to perform RWA. The algorithms are used to decide the shortest path available in a network to establish a connection between the source and destination nodes. In case of unavailability of the path on the same wavelength channel, then alternative routes, including the possibility of wavelength conversion, can be explored. A 5-node network with fixed connections where node 1 requested to establish a link with node 5 is illustrated in this figure. Node 1 and node 5. There is no direct physical connection or path available. There are 4 possibilities to establish the link between node 1 and node 5 depending on the availability or assigned wavelengths between each of the network nodes. These are via node 2 using a single hop, node 4 and node 2 comprising 2 hops, node 2 and node 3 with two hops, and the longest possible route stretching over three hops via node 4, node 2 and node 3. Considering these four routes, the single hop remains the shortest path between node 1 and node 5. Depending upon whether the same wavelength is available between selected network nodes, the light path can be set up, or alternatively wavelength conversion will need to be employed by changing it to a compliant wavelength. The second shortest path will be selected if wavelength conversion can be facilitated. In the case when there are no wavelength channels available, then no link can be set up between the desired nodes. Such unavailability of a network link between two nodes leads to blocking of the channel. Moreover, the probability of blocking increases if there are many network nodes with a small number of wavelength channels and fewer links between them. Thus, an RWA algorithm plays an important role in determining the blocking probability of a network, while also providing information about the availability of the path or link between the source and the destination. In addition, it also gives an indication regarding the location and the number of wavelength converters that may be required in an optical network. Wavelength assignment in a ring network topology is illustrated in this figure. It consists of four nodes. Node A, node B, node C and node D. It may be observed that there exist four possibilities for establishing light paths between the network nodes as indicated by the two inner and two outer half circles. Although four individual wavelengths may be required, when wavelength reuse is in, three wavelengths are sufficient to provide similar connectivity. This situation is illustrated in figure B, which is drawn by cutting the ring and straightening the network wavelength connections. This approach splits a network node D into two halves, that is DTX and DRX. For example, wavelength lambda 1 establishes two light paths, one each between node A to node DTX and C to DRX. The third light path connecting node A to C via node B utilizes wavelength lambda 2. Moreover, wavelength lambda 3 is used to establish the fourth light path between node B to DTX via node A. Finally, the same wavelength lambda 3 has been used to set up the fifth light path between network node B to DRX via node C. Such RWA also determines the length of a path in terms of the number of hops it has to travel to reach the destination node. Thank you.